Welcome back, everybody, to the Miami Marlins franchise here on MLB The Show 23. We are currently in the middle of May, and our Marlins have gotten off to a pretty good start here in season number 3 as we're 26-20. We've got a pretty tough schedule here with some major games within the division that I'm excited to go over today. We're currently in second place in the National League East and the number one wild card in the NL. But not by much. We're barely the number one wild card. There's 7 teams here within 2 games of each other, and you got to assume the Braves are going to pick it up. So it's going to be a very competitive race if it holds to form going into the summer months. I think one of the main themes through the first third or so of the year is that our best players have been really good. Jazz Chisholm and Luis Arraez are the MVP leaders. Sandy Alcantara leads for the Cy Young. Nick Fortes has been really good as well. All 4 of these players have been unbelievable this season, but the reason why we're not better than we are is we've got other guys who aren't playing well. Jesus Sanchez and Brian De La Cruz haven't necessarily taken a step up. Jacob Berry's been kind of a disappointment so far. He's only hitting .218 this year. The bench has been completely abysmal. There's been no offense from them. And the pitching's been a little bit inconsistent. Edward Cabrera and Trevor Rogers have had their good days and their bad days. As for the back end of the rotation, again, it's been pretty up and down. The bullpen's been better than last year, but the lineup and the starting pitching has been inconsistent, and we've got some guys who are not playing so well, while we have others who are. So I want to take a look at the trade block, particularly for a bat. Elly De La Cruz is here. We talked about him as a possibility last year. Things are still not working out in San Francisco, so he'll definitely be a name to keep an eye on. Another one could be Ezekiel Duran with the Texas Rangers. In 2023, he was really solid, and this year he's been pretty good as well. The more and more I thought about it, I really do think it would benefit us if we added a bat, and I think if we did it sooner than later. We've got nothing off the bench, and the back end of our lineup has been very pedestrian at best. We need another veteran to add to the group. So I did some searching through the player finder. I want somebody who can hit at the top of the order, who can get on base and make plays. Yandy Diaz with the Tampa Bay Rays is exactly what I'm looking for. He hits for good contact. He's got phenomenal plate skills. He doesn't strike out, and he draws a ton of walks. This is somebody who gets on base with ease, and he will perfectly set up our stars like Luis Arraez, Jazz Chisholm, and Nick Fortes. He's got a .300 average with a .400 on-base percentage. He walks more than he strikes out. Look at season 1. Doubled the amount of walks. That is unheard of. He is a free agent at the end of the season, and the Rays do have some young talent at third base, so I don't think it would be completely unreasonable to think maybe they would like to move on from him. Yandy Diaz is 33 years old. He's not getting that much better, but I think he is a lot more valuable than his overall rating suggests, and clearly the Rays would like a good package for him, which is pretty understandable. So we're going to budge. I think Yandy Diaz would be such a good fit here, and I'm willing to overpay a little bit to get the job done. So the biggest prospect going to Tampa Bay will be Yandy Cape, the shortstop. He's a guy going into the series who was one of our top overall prospects and just hasn't really developed for us. Last year, he was a minor league dud of the year candidate. He was really disappointing, and this year he's found a way to be even worse. He's really struggling at the AA level. Despite that, he's only 22 years old, and if anybody can fix him, it is the Tampa Bay Rays. Gerard Encarnacion is a player who I really wanted it to work out with, but it's just not. He's been abysmal in AAA this year, which is odd because he was really good in spring training. But again, if anybody can fix him, it is the Rays. The only difference between him and Cape is that he's already 27 years old, so it's a little bit less likely. Dax Fulton is the third piece here. He's a fine pitcher in AA. None of these 3 prospects are like phenomenal, but they're all pretty solid. So we are giving up some big-time depth. We'll also be getting back Herberto Hernandez. He's a good utility guy who's probably going to start in AAA. But obviously, Yandy Diaz is the big get here. I'm really excited about this pickup, even if it's not a long-term thing and more of a one-year rental. I think Yandy Diaz is such a good fit for what we're looking for in our roster. He will be taking Trey Mancini's roster spot. The Trey Mancini experiment has been a disaster. The numbers speak for themselves. I think we're just going to DFA him. I don't think he has a ton of value. He was only on a 1-year deal anyway, but now we will officially let him go. So this is what the lineup will now look like. Yandy will be an everyday player for us. He gets on base at such a high clip, which is going to be perfect with Luis Arraez, Jazz Chisholm, and Nick Fortes due up after him. Those guys are some of the best clutch hitters in baseball, particularly Arraez and Chisholm. So having a guy like Yandy Diaz here is going to be really helpful. Jacob Berry will be switching into more of a platoon role. If you look at the numbers through 89 career games, they are not good. Last year he was underwhelming. This year he's been even worse. I am considering sending him down to the minors because he just has not been all that good. But I still want to give him an opportunity. He will still play against lefties where Yandy Diaz will hit leadoff. While Yandy Diaz is a perfect fit for what I think our lineup looks for, he may not be the last addition, particularly offensively, that we add. I would expect to potentially look to add another bat before the deadline if we're still contending for a wild card spot, looking at these teams towards the bottom of the standings in particular. One of the many teams fighting for a wild card spot with us is the Padres, and we're going to pitch in this third game. I want to take a look at Jesus Luzardo. I have not pitched with him yet. We ended up losing the first two games. 14-5 was the score of the first one. Not a great performance from Edward Cabrera. Yandy Diaz went 1 for 3 with a double and a walk in the first game, and then he did pretty much nothing in the second game. So the Marlins are looking to avoid the sweep here against the San Diego Padres. Miami could plummet a little bit in the wild card standings if they get swept, especially against one of their main competitors in the Padres. The Marlins will be rocking their City Connect jerseys. I feel like we haven't worn these jerseys a whole lot throughout the series, so I wanted to give them a run here today. Let's take a look at both lineups. Two very star-studded squads. No Fernando Tatis for the Padres. He's been one of the best hitters in baseball, but is getting the day off. We'll see if San Diego will be able to get the sweep without him. On the mound for Miami will be Jesus Luzardo, the lefty, making his 10th start of the year. He's been about as average as it gets. ERA at 4, whip at 1.36. Not terrible, but not great. And his day certainly will not start off great as Xander Bogaerts hits a leadoff bomb into left field, into the Marlins bullpen. And the Padres are on the board here in the top of the first with a solo shot from Bogaerts, his 8th homer of the season. That'll bring up Ha-Seong Kim, who hits this one well into right center, and that'll one hop off the wall. Kim will look to hold at second with a double, so the Padres have another runner in scoring position and another opportunity to extend this lead early. It looks like they will as Jake Cronenworth hits it well into left. That'll bounce over the fence for a ground rule double. Kim will score, and the Padres lead 2-0. Will Myers back with San Diego, strikes out on the 12-6. Good pitch by Luzardo, and he will get Michael Conforto to go down looking on the fastball, but not before the Padres drive in 2 and put themselves on the board early. Nick Martinez will start today for San Diego, his 10th start of the year, 3.71 ERA, 1.25 whip. Certainly not terrible for somebody in the back end of the Padres rotation. He's been pretty solid this year. Yandy Diaz hitting in the leadoff spot today. He strikes out on the 12-6 curve. A rare Yandy Diaz strikeout. He does not swing and miss very often. Luis Arias also doesn't strike out too often. He's hitting .394, and his average is going to go up now to .397 as this one is into the gap for a double. So the Marlins have the runner in scoring position. We'll see if they, too, can score here in the first inning. That'll bring up Fortes, who strikes out on the circle change, and the Padres get out of the inning. Luis Arias will be left on third, and he is unable to score as the Padres hold on to their 2-0 lead. Trent Grisham will lead off the top of the second with a walk, so the Padres already have the base runner, and Jace Peterson will single into center to give them another one. Grisham's going to look to head over to third, and the throw is a little bit offline from Jesus Sanchez. So with that, there's runners on the corners and another opportunity for them to score. It doesn't look like they will, though, as Ha-Seong Kim flies it into right, and Anthony Santander comes down with it. So Luzardo does get out of a little bit of the jam, but he has allowed a lot of base runners so far. Sanchez goes down looking for the second out of the inning. That'll bring up Anthony Santander, the free-agent signing from the Orioles. And Santander crushes it into right field, and that one is gone. A solo shot for Santander. Tony Taters, his 10th of the year, and the Miami Marlins are on the board. It's now 2-1. A no-doubter going 407 feet, an absolute beauty for Santander, who now has double-digit dingers. Jacob Berry hits this one hard into center, exit velo at 106 as it goes for a base hit. Jacob Berry's got to perform. Good to see him making a play. Unfortunately, the Marlins won't be able to do anything else in this inning as De La Cruz strikes out. Not a bad inning, though. The Marlins do get on the board, and that'll bring us into the third. Manny Machado hits this one into the gap. One hops off the wall, likely for a double. Machado's got some South Florida ties from the area, as he's got a double to start the inning for the Padres. Cronenworth hits this one into left, and De La Cruz is going to let that one drop. I feel like he maybe could have caught it, but at least he got to the ball quickly, unlike just about every other fly ball he has seen in this series. Will Myers is up now. He draws a walk, and San Diego starts the inning with the bases loaded. Not a good start to the third inning for Jesus Luzardo, who will walk Conforto. That'll score Machado. It's now 3-1. Still nobody out. Jesus Luzardo has lost all command of the strike zone. He has lost all of his confidence. He's got to be taken out of the game, and he'll be replaced by Sixto Sanchez, who recently rejoined the big league team after getting injured in spring training. He'll be starting in a bases-loaded jam as Trent Grisham singles into right. One run scores, a second will join. Two-run single for Trent Grisham, and the Padres lead it 5-1. Ryan Connell now bloops this one over the glove of Yandy Diaz for a hit. Runner will look to score. He is safe, and it is now 6-1, and there's still nobody out. This inning could get real ugly real fast. Peterson grounds it to first. Yandy Diaz will just get the one out rather than go for the double play or try to throw the runner out at home. His thought process is, let's just get one. Bogaerts crushes this one off of Sanchez, and that'll result as an infield single for the Padres. That play is a perfect description of how this inning has gone for the Marlins, who have already allowed 5 runs. Ha-Seong Kim strikes out on the slider. Big strikeout from Sanchez, but he's going to need to get another one here, and he does. Manny Machado, who started the inning with a double, goes down looking. That'll end the inning. The Padres score 5 here in the third. They lead this one big 7-1. Luckily for Sanchez and the Marlins, the fourth inning would go a lot smoother as he would retire the side. Same score going into the bottom half of the inning. Woody Landry, the rookie, is up for the Marlins. He's had a really solid month of May, and he's going to keep things going as he rips this one down the left field line, showing off some oppo-popo. It's a one-out double for Woody. We know for a first baseman he's got some speed. We'll see if the Marlins can drive him in. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez. He hits this one into the gap. That should score the run with no problem. An RBI double for Jesus Sanchez. And the Marlins are going to make this game a little bit closer. It's now 7-2. At least it looks like the Marlins are going to go down with a fight, if nothing else. That'll bring up Santander. Crushes this one into right field. Does it have enough carry at the track at the wall? It's gone! Anthony Santander with his second of the game. Tony Taters with number 2. That's his 11th of the year. Not quite as far as his first one, but it doesn't matter. And the Marlins have made it a ball game. It's now 7-4. That'll bring up Brian De La Cruz now. Hits this one well into right. Back at the track, at the wall. It scrapes through the corner and gone. Solo homer for Brian De La Cruz. And it is now 7-5. De La Cruz with his 6th homer of the year. Hasn't quite put up the numbers that he did offensively last year, but it's good to see him making a play there as the Marlins are right back in it. Yandy Diaz doing what he does best, getting on base, and that will bring up Luis Ariz. He's going to ground this one up the middle. Nice play by Ha-Seong Kim, and that'll wrap up the inning. But a big one for the Marlins as they drive in 4 with a pair of homers from Santander and De La Cruz. Another 1-2-3 inning for Sixto Sanchez as he makes his way through the order once again, and we go to the bottom of the 5th. Dylan Lesko will come out of the bullpen from the Padres, a high draft pick of theirs within the past couple of years. He'll face off against Woody Landry with 2 away, and he strikes out on the fastball. So Lesko retires the side, and the score will remain 7-5. Sixto Sanchez still in the game here in the 6th. I mean, he's pitching really well as Xander Bogaerts singles into center field to start the inning. So the Padres had themselves an early base runner. Ha-Seong Kim will draw a walk. So after a couple of perfect innings from Sanchez, he allows a couple of base runners. He's going to be yanked for Adonis Takadopoulos, who has had a pretty rough season so far. 7 runs allowed in 10 innings. But he does get Jake Cronenworth to go down looking. We know Adonis has some nasty stuff, trying to show it off here against Will Myers with the knuckleball as he grounds it to short. Jazz Chisholm will make the play, and Takadopoulos gets the Marlins out of the jam. The Padres have not scored since their big 5-run third inning, as it'll remain a 7-5 ball game. Jesus Sanchez leads off the bottom of the 6th, gets a hanging pitch up in the zone, and he capitalizes. This one is deep into right field, and that one is gone into the second deck. A solo homer for Sanchez. That'll be his 7th of the season. And it is a one-run ball game all of a sudden. The Marlins have scored 5 unanswered, and it's now 7-6. You can't throw a hanging pitch right down the middle. Jesus Sanchez making it known. Anthony Santander draws a walk. Can't say I blame Lesko for not wanting to throw strikes to him because he probably would have hit a dinger. Runner on, 2 away for Diaz. He flies this one into right. That ball will be caught, but not a bad inning. The Marlins cut the lead in half with a leadoff solo homer for Jesus Sanchez, and it's now 7-6. Takadopoulos is still in the game here in the 7th. Miami wanted to get another inning out of him, but I think he'll probably be taken out here after allowing a Trent Grisham single. He'll be replaced by A.J. Puck, who quietly is having himself a great year. 2.14 ERA. He has been phenomenal as he will start things off with a quick double play. That was easy. Puck has to face off against one batter here in the 7th as he gets through the inning, and it remains a 7-6 ball game. Luis Ariz leads off the bottom of the 7th. He draws a walk. With the leadoff runner aboard, this is the Marlins' perfect opportunity to capitalize and put themselves back in the game. Spoiler, they did not. Woody Landry goes down chasing the changeup. That'll wrap up the inning. The Padres hold on to their one-run lead. Puck still in the game here in the 8th after only seeing one batter in the 7th as he walks Bogarts. Ha-Sung Kim looks to ground it into an inning-ending double play, but Ariz overthrows Jazz Chisholm. So instead of the inning being over, there's now 2 runners on base, and A.J. Puck finds himself in a jam that, well, he didn't really deserve to be in. We'll see if the heart of the Padres order can capitalize as Manny Machado strikes out on the slider. That'll bring up Jake Cronenworth. Welcome to the Crone Zone, and what I mean by that is welcome to the dugout. He goes down looking, Puck gets through the 8th, and the score will remain 7-6. Nick Anderson is out of the bullpen here in the bottom of the 8th for San Diego. He'll face off against Jesus Sanchez, who's had a great day, 2 for 3, couple of RBIs, homered in his last at-bat. Another hit would be pretty big, and that's exactly what happens. He singles into left field. Have yourself a day, Jesus Sanchez, who's now 3 for 4. If he does get another at-bat, which is unlikely, but if he did, he'd be a triple shy of the cycle. Anthony Santander draws another walk. Again, I don't blame him for not throwing strikes to him. The Marlins start the inning with 2 runners on. They've got to score here. Gavin Lux will come in off the bench on his day off. He draws a walk. The Marlins have loaded the bases, but if we've learned anything about this team in this series, they are not good with the bases loaded as Brian De La Cruz goes down looking. And now the Padres will make a pitching change. Amir Garrett will come into the game out of the bullpen, and he'll face off against Yandy Diaz in his biggest at-bat as a Marlin so far. We'll see if Yandy Diaz can make a big play here. His job is to get on base, not drive runners in, but he should be able to drive one in here as he lines it into right. It is caught. Runner will look to tag up. That's Sanchez, and he is safe. So it's a sacrifice fly for Yandy Diaz. We're now tied at 7, and the Marlins have runners on the corners here, and a major opportunity for Luis Ariz, who's one of the best clutch hitters in baseball, and he strikes out on the slider. The Marlins did get 1 in that inning, but it felt like they could have done a lot more as they leave 2 aboard, and we remain tied at 7. Garrett fired up. Camilo Doval will come in out of the bullpen for the Marlins to start the 9th. 1.42 ERA this year as he faces off against Myers. Got him on the 99-mile-an-hour cutter. That pitch is filthy. Conforto goes down on the cutter as well, this time 98 miles an hour. And then Grisham grounds out to first. Diaz tags the bag, and we make it through the top of the 9th. No damage done. Doval retires the side. We'll see if the 3-4-5 hitters can look to end the game for the Marlins. Jazz Chisholm will lead things off. He's 0 for 4 today. Make it 0 for 5 with a ground out to second. Not Jazz's best performance, put it that way. Nick Fortes also 0 for 4. Grounds this one to first for the second out of the inning. It's not ideal when Jazz and Fortes combine to go 0 for 10. So it looks like this game will probably be going to extra innings, barring any sort of miracle from the first baseman, Woody Landry. He's 1 for 4 today. He's got the lefty-on-lefty matchup, and he has struggled against lefties throughout the year. 2-1 pitch from Garrett, and Woody crushes it into right center field. This game is over! A piss missile off the bat of Woody Landry, his 8th homer of the year, a 457-foot bomb to walk it off for the Marlins. At 19 years old, Woody Landry has made the biggest play of his major league career. A star has been born here in Miami. This kid is special. What a swing from Woody Landry. I think we all knew that was gone as soon as it hit the bat. 457 feet, coming in at over 112 miles an hour of exit velo as that ball goes halfway up the second deck. Man, what a way to end this game. The biggest play in Woody's major league career so far. We've got to look at this swing again. Just an absolute beaut. And again, Woody Landry has struggled against left-handed pitching this season, but he saw a pitch he liked against Amir Garrett and absolutely clobbered it. Just a beautiful sight to see. The beautiful crack of the bat. Oh, man. Not to mention a sick bat flip as well. Let's get the catcher cam. Oh, man, that is so nice. What a swing for Woody Landry to end the game here for the Marlins. The Padres led this game 7-1, and they blew it. San Diego Padres, what happened? How do you lose to the Miami Marlins? Well, I'll tell you how. The offense came alive after the third inning. We scored 4 in the fourth. We made some plays when we needed to late in the game. Obviously, the Woody Landry home run in particular. While our stars did not do all that well, the back end of the lineup did. Woody Landry, 2 for 5 with the walk-off homer. Jesus Sanchez, 3 for 4 homer. Anthony Santander, 2 for 2, 2 homers, 2 walks. Along with those guys, the bullpen was phenomenal. 3 good innings from Sixto Sanchez, and then Takadopoulos, Puck, and Duvall shut the door. Great win. Way to avoid the sweep. Wins like that can give our team momentum going forward, and it'll certainly give Woody Landry, a young kid continuing to look for confidence, plenty of momentum. So now we enter the most pivotal stretch of the year. 10 games within the division on the road against the Phillies, Braves, and Mets. I don't think I can overstate enough how important these next 10 games are, and it's going to be a real challenge on the road, facing off against good interdivision opponents. Before we talk about this big 10-game stretch, I do want to go through our next set of prospect profiles. Today, we're going to be covering some of the most talented international-born players in this year's draft class. In the previous set of prospect profiles, we went over some of the top high school American prospects in the draft, and today we're going to look more overseas at some foreign prospects who could be candidates for Miami's selection. So as we look at the pitchers first, an interesting trend that I noticed is that a lot of the top pitchers in this class are not international. But if you look down the board, there's a lot of intriguing depth and players who I think could end up being steals, including Jose Benitez, a lefty from the Dominican Republic. I think he's got a pretty solid skill set. He's currently projected to go in the second round, but our scouts view him right now as a top 10 talent in this draft class. I think he could be a really good value pick for us in round 2. My only concern with him, though, is that his hits per 9 and walks per 9 are pretty weak. But other than that, I like the skill set. He strikes out a lot of batters. He doesn't allow a lot of homers. Pretty good velocity, pretty good breaking balls. But if you think he's good, there might be an even better pitcher down the board in Geronimo Freitas. He is not projected to go even in the top 100 picks, but our scouts think that this kid might be even better. Freitas is also a lefty hailing from Puerto Rico. I like his per 9s a little bit more. He's really good at striking out batters, but the hits per 9 and the walks per 9 are a little bit better than Benitez. I think the thing that I most like about Freitas is his control and command of the strike zone. He doesn't really seem to lose confidence if the few at-bats don't go his way. He seems to have a confidence and a swagger to him, which I think as a pitcher, particularly a starting pitcher, you've got to be able to have a short mind, and I think that's exactly what Freitas has. Let's take a look at some position players now. We'll start with first baseman Isaac Stu from the Dominican Republic. If you want somebody who can flat out swing the bat, Isaac Stu might be your guy. He's one of, if not the best offensive prospects in this entire draft. He is a switch hitter, good contact, good power, pretty good plate skills. He checks all the boxes offensively. The Marlins drafted Woody Landry in the first round 2 years ago because of his offense. The Marlins targeted Agustin de la Cruz last year in the first round because of his offense. I think Isaac Stu really fits that mold in what the Marlins like. I do sort of have some questions with him, though. He is not a great defender, but I will say he can play a lot of positions. third in the corner outfield spots. He's currently projected to go in the 30s. So if you're the Marlins, do you think you have to pick him at pick 15? Or can you wait until your competitive balance round pick at number 35? Another player who is projected in that late first round range is Venezuelan third baseman William Serna Ruiz. I think Serna Ruiz is a little bit more well-rounded than Isaac Stu. Maybe he doesn't have the power that he does, but he's one of the best contact hitters in the draft. He seems to have pretty good plate skills for an 18-year-old, and I think his glove, while not perfect, is a little bit more far along. So maybe he doesn't give you the pure offensive tools that you get with Isaac Stu, but I think he is more of an all-around player with his long-term defensive upside and contact. I think this is somebody who can hit at the top of your order while playing great defense. Sticking in Venezuela, we have a pretty similar prospect to William Serna Ruiz in the outfield with Cristobal Estrella. This is another guy who doesn't have a lot of power, even less than Serna Ruiz, but he's got great contact, great plate skills, and is somebody who you're going to want at the top of your order. He's currently projected in the early 20s, so the Marlins, if they really want him, would probably have to pick him with their first rounder, number 15 overall. This is somebody who I think can be a leadoff hitter. Again, as I mentioned, good contact and good plate skills, and he's also super fast as well. Even though he's listed as a left fielder, I think he might be more of a center fielder at the next level because of his range. The power is a concern. He only hit this one homer in the international cycle this past year. But other than that, I really like this prospect, and I think he could be a candidate for the Marlins selection in the first round. We know outfield is a little bit of a weakness. Not that I like to draft for need, but he would fit a need, and he could be pretty good value with the 15th pick. So that'll wrap up this prospect profile. Next time around, we're going to go over some of the top college players in the draft, and then sooner than later, we will have our draft preview where we go over everybody, and then the draft itself, which should be a lot of fun. So we're going to hop into this game here against the Philadelphia Phillies. This is actually the very next day after the Padres game with the walk-off. I don't normally do games back-to-back like this, but I wanted to pitch with Yandy Perez, so that's what we're going to do here. Both of these teams are coming into this game short-handed. Nick Fortes and Brian De La Cruz will both be getting days off for us. As for the Phillies, Bryce Harper and Trey Turner will also be getting days off, and JT Realmuto is currently injured, but we do get to see Juan Soto, which I am pretty excited about. Of course, he signed a massive deal with the Phillies this past offseason. So I decided to give Fortes and De La Cruz the day off today because we need everybody to be refreshed. We have 10 games on the road within the division. It's going to be a long trip, so we need to be strategic of how we play, guys. Walker Buehler, the other big free agent signing, will be starting here for the Phillies. He has been a phenomenal pickup so far, 2.38 ERA. He has been the new ace of the staff with Aaron Nola now in St. Louis as he strikes out Jazz Chisholm, and the Phillies retire the side here in the top of the first. Yandy Perez, the 21-year-old, will be making the start for the Marlins, his 10th of the year. He's had his ups and downs. He's had some good starts, and he's had some bad starts. He'll face off against Alec Bohm, who hits a leadoff single to get things started here for the Phillies. Bohm hitting at the top of the order, of course, with Trey Turner, one of the many key contributors on this team, not playing in this ballgame. Brandon Marsh rips this one down the line and fair. That one could score Bohm if he's quick enough. Santander tries to get to it quickly as the runner heads home. The throw to the plate is in time! What a tag from the backup catcher, Victor Caratini. A great play there as he's just barely able to tag Alec Bohm. Obviously, Nick Fortes gets all the love as the starting catcher, but as the backup, Caratini has had a great season. Juan Soto checks his swing. They call him out on strike 3 as he goes down on the outside fastball. Into the second, no score. Anthony Santander facing off against Buehler as he strikes out on the fastball. Good pitch there by Walker Buehler for the second out of the inning as we go to the bottom of the second. Rhys Hoskins goes down looking. Good pitch from Perez. Both pitchers look quite good so far. Could we be looking at a pitcher's duel? Bryson Stott now for the Phillies. Strikes out on the changeup. Another very nice pitch for Yandy Perez. He'll look to strike out the side against Yasmani Grandal, and he is successful. Got him looking on the low curveball. He thought that might have been ball 4, but he doesn't get the call. Into the third, Gavin Lux is up. I know the Marlins have some of their backups playing, but Gavin Lux is hitting in the 9-hole just so the top of the order can have a good hitter before them. And Gavin Lux, being a good hitter, gets on base. So the Marlins have a base runner here, their first one of the entire game. And so that'll bring up Yandy Diaz, hitting in the leadoff spot once again. He goes down looking. Walker Buehler's had himself a very good game, 3 scoreless. Perez looking to keep his phenomenal start going as he gets Lantigua to go down looking. 2 away for Bohm. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. That fastball was right down the middle. What was he waiting for? No score through 3. Both pitchers look phenomenal for each of their squads. Will anybody score in the 4th? It won't be Jazz Chisholm. He goes fishing on the knuckle curve. A great pitch by Walker Buehler. Woody Landry's now up. He had the walk-off homer yesterday at home against San Diego. And instead of a homer, he will strike out on the circle change. 4 scoreless for Buehler, and we go to the bottom half of the inning. Brandon Marsh goes down looking. The Phillies have not gotten a base runner since the first inning. Yuri Perez is on fire, and I get it's kind of the Phillies' B team, but still, you got some of their starters like Juan Soto, who has now struck out twice. Nick Castellanos is now up, and he will strike out as well. Yuri Perez strikes out the side once again. Over the last 3 innings, Perez has not allowed a single base runner, and he has 8 strikeouts. Anthony Santander here in the 5th gets things going early as this one hits the wall and left, and that'll be a double for Tony Taters, who homered twice yesterday. And so the Marlins have the runner in scoring position with nobody out. Got to capitalize here. I don't think we're going to see a lot of runs in this game, so you got to drive them in here if you can. He's on 3rd now, 1 away for the catcher, Victor Caratini. He draws a walk, and now there's runners on the corners. Perfect opportunity for Taylor Trammell getting the start in the outfield today to make a play. Trammell lines this one into center. That should score the run as it is caught by Marsh. He's got a solid arm, and it's a pretty good throw to the plate. But the runner Santander scores, so it's a sacrifice fly for Taylor Trammell. Successful at that, and we finally have offense. The Marlins lead at 1-0. Can they get some more offense, possibly, with Gavin Lux up with 2 away and a full count, as he kind of bloops this one into left center, but that one is going to drop. The runner, Caratini, will make his way over to 3rd, so now there's runners on the corners, and Miami's offense is really picking things up here in the 5th inning. Another big opportunity for Yandy Diaz, but he's going to ground it over to 2nd, and the Phillies will make the play. That's Stott who throws out the runner. The Marlins do score a run off the sac fly by Trammell. They lead it now 1-0 as we go to the bottom half of the 5th. Can Yuri Perez keep his phenomenal start going as he strikes out Rhys Hoskins? Everybody on the Phillies is striking out. They just can't hit the ball. 2 away for Grandal. Another one bites the dust. Yuri Perez with a masterclass. The first 2 batters for the Phillies each got hits. Nobody's reached since, and barely anybody's even touched the ball. Jazz Chisholm up early in the 6th. Hits this one high and deep into right center, and that ball is gone! A solo homer for Jazz Chisholm. His team leading 15th homer of the season. And the Marlins lead it 2-0. Woody Landry getting in on the action now as he hits this one into the opposite field for a single. And the Marlins offense has been great over the last 2 innings after not showing up in the first 4. Anthony Santander scored the first run of the game as he grounds it to short. That'll be a 6-4-3 inning-ending double play for the Phils. But the Marlins do score another run with the homer by Chisholm. Bottom 6 now, Rafael Lantigua hits a single into right field. The first base runner since the first inning for the Phillies. We'll see if they can potentially drive them in. That'll bring up the shortstop, Hao-Yu Lee. In his major league debut, he joins the strikeout club as he goes down on the inside fastball. 2 away now for Brandon Marsh. Hits this one up the middle for a base hit. Luis Ariz cannot make the play. Run will look to score, and he is safe. The shutout, no more, as the Phillies are on the board with an RBI single from a fired-up Brandon Marsh. That'll bring up Juan Soto, who hits it hard to 2nd. Ariz bobbles it. He had an error yesterday against the Padres, nearly gets another one today, but he does throw him out. Both teams get a run here in the 6th as we move into the 7th. Walker Buehler's day is done, and he'll be replaced by the lefty Matt Strahm. 3.74 ERA. He'll face off against Caratini, who rips this one up the middle. Victor Caratini continuing to be a very solid backup. He might even get some spot starts here and there at other positions. I think he can play the corner infield spots. He can always DH. He won't score, though. Gavin Lux goes down looking. Strahm makes it through the 7th as it remains 2-1. Yuri Perez will stay in the game. I don't think the pitch count is overly high for now. I mean, it is at 110. That's pretty high. But he's able to last, clearly, as Yandy Diaz fields the grounder. 7 innings, 1 earned for Yuri Perez. We'll see if the Marlins keep him in for the 8th or if they will go to the bullpen. Gregory Soto is into the game here for the Phillies, 5.52 ERA. Phillies fans in the stands might be thinking that this game is so tover. As Yandy Diaz hits this one into the gap, that one looks like it'll go for a double. So Diaz starts the inning in scoring position. Great opportunity for the Marlins to potentially look to close this thing out and make Yuri Perez not have to pitch the final 2 innings. Luis Ariz lines this one into left, and that is going to drop as the left fielder is unable to make the play. Runner will head over to third safely. That's Diaz. And so there's runners on the corners now with nobody out. That'll bring up Jazz Chisholm. He hits this one up the middle. That'll go for a base hit. Jazz Chisholm drives in another run, and it is now a 3-1 ball game. Still, nobody out. Productive day offensively here for Chisholm with 2 RBIs, as that'll bring up Woody Landry. Rips this one into right. That'll go for a hit, and the bases are now loaded with nobody out. Wow, this game really is so tover. Now, again, the Marlins do not do well with the bases loaded, but with nobody out, you think they got to score at least 1, right? Santander goes down on the fastball. Big pitch by Soto. I'm honestly surprised he's still in the game. That'll bring up Jesus Sanchez, lefty on lefty. Sanchez goes down looking. It feels like every game he goes down looking, and it's not really his fault. I think the umpires have a vendetta against Jesus Sanchez. Brian De La Cruz hits this one high and deep into left center, but it will be caught. The Marlins score 1 here in the 8th, but they had the bases loaded with nobody out and did not drive any of those guys in. A classic bases loaded disaster class. Camilo Duvall will come into the game out of the bullpen here in the bottom of the 8th. Hopefully Duvall and Liam Hendricks can shut the game down here in the last couple of innings. But Yasmani Grandal, the speedster, with an infield single. So the Phillies have an early base runner. We'll see if they can potentially drive them in and make it a ball game. Look who's in off the bench. It's Bryce Harper, who singles into right field. Harper may be getting the start off, but he's able to come in off the bench. And you know who's going to join him? Trey Turner lays down the bunt, and he will make it to first safely. A drag bunt for Trey Turner, and now the Phillies had the bases loaded with nobody out. That'll bring up Alec Bohm, who singles this one up the middle. That should tie the game. Harper looking to score. He is safe. We are now knotted up at 3 with 2 runners on and nobody out. Not a good performance whatsoever from Camilo Duvall. He'll be taken out and will be replaced by Reynaldo Lopez, the veteran, hoping to get the Marlins out of the jam. And that's one way to do it. Brandon Marsh grounds into a 4-6-3 double play. Now the Phillies do still have a runner at third, but they will likely need a base hit to score him. And Juan Soto strikes out again. That, kids, is a hat trick. 3 strikeouts for Juan Soto today. Speaking of 3, that's how many runs the Phillies now have tying the game. Hector Neris is in here in the top of the 9th. Can't we turn back the clock like it's 2016 and have another Hector Neris disaster class? Phillies fans will know what I'm talking about. Nick Fortes in off the bench. He will strike out on the high fastball. Good pitch by Neris for the first out of the inning. 2 away now for Yandy Diaz. We'll see if the Marlins can potentially try to win this game here in 9, and they won't. So either we will have extras or we will have a walk-off. Very similar situation to what we had in the first game, but the only difference is the Marlins are the away team. Nick Castellanos strikes out. As you can see, Reynaldo Lopez still in the game, as Stott lines it to first, caught by Woody Landry, and we are headed to extras. 9 innings, not enough in the first game of Miami's 10-game interdivision road trip. So there's a runner on second. That's Yandy Diaz. Luis Ariz leads off the inning, and he gets plunked. So now there's 2 runners aboard and nobody out. 1 away for Woody Landry. He's gotten a base hit in his last 2 at-bats, and Woody's going to clutch up with another one. He singles into center. Diaz will look to score. He is safe. RBI single for Woody Landry, and the Marlins lead it 4-3. Woody's fired up. Another clutch hit for him. His 3rd base hit of the day. Jose Leclerc, the longtime Texas Ranger, will enter the game out of the bullpen for Hector Neris. He'll face off against Jesus Sanchez, who lines this one to short. What a play by Turner, but the throw is offline. So a run will score, all the runners will advance. The other runner fought about going home. He won't, smartly. But it's now 5-3. So they're going to call that a base hit for Jesus Sanchez and then a throwing error after the fact by Trey Turner. So it'll be both a hit and an error. And most importantly, a run scores. The following batter, Brian De La Cruz, would be intentionally walked. The Phillies are going to try to get a force out at all bases. But now they have to face off against a better hitter in Nick Fortes. And he will line this one into center. Brandon Marsh should be able to make the play, and he will. The Marlins leave the bases loaded again. But they score 2 and have the lead 5-3 going into the bottom of the 10th. And it's time for Liam Hendriks to get the save. Hendriks is 11-13 in save ops this season. Lucky for him, he gets to face off against the bottom of the Phillies lineup. But unlucky for him, that includes Bryce Harper and Trey Turner. It also includes Grandal, who strikes out. Here's Bryce Harper, grounded to first. Good play by Landry. The runner, Bryson Stott, the speedster, advances to third. And then Trey Turner grounds it to short. Tough play for Lux, and he makes the throw. The Marlins win their first game of a 10-game interdivision road trip by the score of 5-3 in 10 innings. A hard-fought victory here. Both starting pitchers were brilliant. Walker Buehler was really good, but Yuri Perez was even better. This might be the best start in the career of Yuri Perez. The Phillies just could not hit his stuff. And unfortunately for us, we nearly blew it, but luckily we were clutch down the stretch. We had some big hits in the 8th, big hits in the 10th. We also left the bases loaded in both of those innings, but that's neither here nor there. The real story for me has to be Yuri Perez, 7 innings. He only allowed, I think, 4 or 5 base runners. 1 run, 4 hits, no walks, 1 run, and 12 strikeouts. And Camilo Duvall almost flushed it down the toilet. But luckily, the other relievers did not allow a single runner. As for the Phillies, their offense was not great. They did make some plays in the 8th. Walker Buehler was really good, but their bullpen did kind of blow it there down the stretch in typical Phillies fashion. I would love to win 6 or 7 games here on this road stand, so to win the first one already is certainly really good. Rather than simulating the entire thing, we're going to go series by series and take it slowly. So we'll start with the next 3 in Philadelphia. We would only win 1 of 2. So we split with the Phillies. That's fine. I can take that. The Phillies are a really good team. We don't make up any ground on them. We're still second. And now we have the Braves for 3 games in Atlanta. We've got the back end of our rotation, and we've got Sandy Alcantara. We won the Sandy game, but we lost the other 2. Not ideal. So we only take 1 of 3 in Atlanta. We're now 3-4 on the road trip, as we've got 3 in Citi Field against the New York Mets. Got to win 2, and we get swept. The last game we lost 14-13. We scored 7 in the 5th, and they answered with 7 of their own in the 5th, with the game ultimately going 10 innings. We had 17 hits. They had 16. My lord, the offense was really good. And my lord, Jesus Luzardo and Sixto Sanchez wet the bed. The bullpen wasn't that bad, though. Max Butterball for the Mets did not have his best start. He's been really good for them this year. Their bullpen also not great. Certainly sucks to take a sweep. So in our 10-game stretch, we ended up going 3-7. Gotta say, I'm a little bit disappointed. We started today as the number 1 wild card, and now we are the 4th team out. Quite the fall from grace, but luckily for us, it's still the beginning of June. We've got 4 months left in the year. We've got plenty of time, but we do have a really tough schedule in June. Diamondbacks, Padres, Astros, Phillies, Braves, Mets, and then in July we have the Red Sox, along with some easier teams like the White Sox, Pirates, and Nationals, but still a really tough schedule before the All-Star break. Next episode, we're going to get through a large chunk of June. I think we're going to learn a lot about this team in the next episode to see if they are really legit or if our hot start was more of a mirage. Really fun episode, though, nonetheless. 2 really exciting games, especially because we won, but they were still very exciting nonetheless. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.